Hey folks, this is Brian. We've got an, I need to be careful about leaning forward. Maybe that's the problem. I should lean forward more or less. Anyway, I've got another session of Elderath, which is the RQIII engined game that I play in. So I'm a player in this one. My guy is Wes. The I guess Eldritch Knight is probably the closest sort of class he would fit into. He was a knight and has essentially he's a multi-class. He was a knight and now he's a magic user. But anyway, excuse me. On to the adventure. So when we last left the party, it was Mordag, which is the third day of the week 4 of Czar, the 5th month. After unspiking the door, we go through that vestibule and our senses are assaulted by gore. There are torturing implements all over the walls. There's a fresh body on a table. There are 4 pillars in this room. There are 2 zombies and a ghoul. The ghoul is looking at us, vacillating on, why are we there? What's going on? And as I found out later, with eyeless sockets. So Alexander just attacks. He strikes the ghoul in the head. Toth then kicks the ghoul in the abdomen, which puts him down, and punches in the arm, dislocating it and killing the ghoul. Not so tough after all. But Toth does some significant damage. He is a big, fast guy. Alexander and Toth then try to move into the room to engage the 2 zombies who are moving forward. Raymond also enters the room in the center and attacks one of the zombies. Alexander gets hit in the leg, though, and he falls down. So the next round, Toth is pulling Alexander out of the room. Raymond, who's still on our side of the doorway, both he and Alexander, it's not Alexander, it's Tindo. He and Tindo cast healing magic on Alexander. I'm in the back. I'm trying to watch both ways. I see it's open, and the zombies are back there. So I cast a stun cloud behind the 2 zombies, so they're getting caught in it, but nobody in front will. Toth then gets into the room, and Tindo, trying to do the same thing, gets hit with an abdomen shot, so goes down the middle. Alexander at this point is able to get up, is able to position himself in the room. Alexander then hits zombie number 1 in the right arm, disabling it. And Toth then breaks zombie number 2's left arm. And the stun cloud in the back, crackle, 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 drops both zombie 1 and zombie 2. As we search the room, Raymond finds what he thinks are the remains of an acolyte of St. Cuthbert, who was with Turgon, who's the priest who disappeared a few weeks ago, who was sent out here, actually out west, to investigate things. Back in Hamlet, Rufus had received a message from Turgon at the moat house saying that all was well. He thought it was a fake at that point, and we're pretty much sure it is at this point. So I find a shield with the symbol of St. Cuthbert on it, and Alexander finds a chest piece, breastplate, with a deep gouge in it, also with the symbol of St. Cuthbert. Toth, however, finds a secret door in one of the pillars. There's a narrow stair going up, and in fact does come out to the torture chamber up in the moat house. We're trying to figure out, is this like a one-way thing or what's going on? And Alexander, however, finds a mechanism in the upper room so that we can now open and close this secret door from both sides, up here in the moat house and down in the dungeon. So after discussing options for opening, the double doors. Okay, back in the torture chamber in the dungeon, there's a vestibule room, and then there's a chapel. And one side of the chapel has the altar and stuff. The other side has these huge, big double doors. Sort of tells me, okay, do we try to open them? Because we want to kind of clear out this level to make sure that there's nothing down here. We're kind of concerned that maybe these double doors open up into the swamp as though it's just got gunk and or possibly even just water, right? And what may happen if we open this door. So we go through a couple different variations of things to do. But we end up doing is tying the rope off of Toth. Toth is going to open the door. Raymond is back by the door, goes into the chamber room that we came through from the goblins. And the rest of us are out in the hallway in the castle wall in case water comes flooding in. So, actually, no, because Wes is there with Raymond. Not in the room, but he's behind Raymond. And the other two are out in the hall. So, Toth tries to open the door. He's not successful. So, Raymond goes up to help him. And as they do, a giant crab claw reaches through the door, knocking it open, right? And tries to grab at Toth, but Toth dodges out of the way. We all notice that this claw has this gold band on it. Raymond drops the sword, or pulls his sword because he's up front now, and Toth continues his attack. I'm in the back, so I throw an overcharged shock bolt. I've been waiting to do this since I got the wand, because the wand has 10 extra magic points in it. So I've been waiting for this opportunity. The other half of the double door flies open, and that knocks Raymond back 2 hexes. It breaks apart and exposes behind these double doors in this cavernous room a gigantic crayfish. We call it the lobstossery. Lobstossery? Yeah, monstrosity, lobstossery. So it grabs Toth, fumbled his dodge. And at that point, I yelled when I do my shock bolt, so everybody starts running up to catch up. Actually, when the claw doors flew open, I yelled out. And then so everybody's running in. So everybody's coming into the room and move. It's going to take a couple rounds, but the next round they're going to move forward and excuse me, attack the claws. Because the claws are out front, we can attack the claws. The body is behind. This is a huge thing. So I cast my 5-point shock bolt. One complication with that is the percentage chance of casting my shock bolt goes down as I overcharge it. So instead of having a 55% chance, I only had a 35% chance. But it did go off. But when it does, the band flares, and the lobstrosity, which had Raymond in one hand, throws him, and it withdraws back in the room behind where there's a large cavern. Both Alexander and Toth, as it's moving back, attack claws, and then land attacks. But then it disappears into a pool of water in this cavern behind the double doors. In this cavern, there are lots of skeletons. Some goblins, some horses, a bunch of giant frogs, and a mule. We also find what appears to be the remains of brickwork and flagstone. So it's like this went to a room, should be a hallway, but that the lobstrosity had broken into and knocked it all down. Okay, so we search the cavern. Alexander finds an ancient set of scale armor. It does not seem to be tarnished. And I check it out. Yes, in fact, it is iron or steel. And I find a rotted bag on one of the skeletons. It has 5 gold pieces. And these are ancient pieces from Forg's time. So it may actually have more value than just the gold in it to a collector. There's a wake in the pool, and the lobstrosity comes back out. Having fought the Lobstrosity earlier, the chitin of this thing is tough like plate, and it had plenty of scarring and even some arrow shafts sticking out of it. So it's been alive for quite a while and has been able to take a lot of damage. So there's concern when the Lobstrosity comes back out of the pool. We do notice that the wounds it received earlier seem to have healed. The gashes, instead of being gashed, are white, like scarring kind of thing. My intent was as soon as it came out, was to cast sudden light to blind the thing, right? And maybe we can actually do something to it. So I tell everybody, I'm going to cast sudden light. So when I say now, everybody close your eyes. And I say now, and I cast sudden light, but it doesn't go off. So the Lobstrosity attacks Tindo and Alexander, and it moves forward. Tindo does hit his claw. Alexander and Raymond make aim shots at the head of this creature. Alexander hits, but Raymond fumbles. I then cast Sleep 10, which is a 6th level spell. But again, the ring flashes and the Lobstrosity flees. We discuss what to do. End up climbing up the pillar to the moat house. Once we get up there, though, we see smoke rising in the distance, like from Hamlet, and there's a black dot flying around. I'm thinking the Black Dragon. So we discuss, okay, we're going to camp here, or we need to get back to Hamlet. So we decide we got plenty of time. We're going to go outside the swamp and camp at the campsite that's outside of the swamp. And there's some discussion about maybe traveling through the night, but we decide not to risk it. So the next morning we break camp. We're heading towards Hamlet. Smoke is definitely rising from Hamlet. So as we're traveling on the road, we see a party of riders to the north, and they turn and intercept us. We continue our way, but we're keeping an eye on them, and we get ready for action just in case. They get closer. There are 6 of them, 3 in full plate with lances, and 3 more with padded armor, half helms, and crossbows. As they come up to us, Tindo hears one of them say something about that's Lotar's charge. And one of the knights, they flip thing, and they give a nod to me and say, "We've been told that you went west." And we give a little brief discussion of, we were out at the moat house, we saw the smokes, we come and check what's going on here. They tell us that goblins have attacked the outlying farms, and recommend we go ahead and make our way and make our report to Rufus. And they're going to head out looking, continuing to look for goblins. So we head to Hamlet. As we approach, we notice that the work is continuing on the tower defenses, but there are guards out from the tower, staged around the construction, and there are patrols moving, up and down and through town. We get up to the tower. The guard recognizes us. The sergeant at arms comes out and greets us and tells us Rufus is in town with a meeting with the village council. He walks with us into town, to the inn, because that's where we're headed. We're headed to the inn. When he gets to the village elder's house, though, he heads off to the village elders, and we continue on the inn. We get, baths, clean up, rest, change your clothes, that kind of thing. We do get to the inn. We notice a number of horses there, several large war horses, right? So I go and I check on, after we get to the inn, we're greeted by Gundagoot. He tells us about goblins and some flying creature on the carpet. We get our baths, we eat, and I go out and I check on my horse, make sure he's still being taken care of, and I've been tipping the stable boy, so he's been doing a good job taking care of my horse. Once I get back, we're then escorted to a private room at the inn, and Rufus and others are there. We report our activities and findings. He tells us that riders have arrived from Kirk, and they're out looking for evidence of goblins, where they came from and where they may have gone. The reports thus far have indicated that the goblins have significant support, as we've not been able to track them. And there's been an unidentified magic user who appears to be using them. We can figure out, if we can figure out where they where they are, then we can go after them, kind of thing. We're talking about this raiding party kind of stuff. The raiding parties did have a mage who seemed to be just hanging out with them. They're like some sort of coordination. When the goblins go to attack, the mage comes to do his supporting fires. It was noted, though, that this didn't happen until it was convenient that Burns, who was capable of defending the town, was not here. So some question about how would these goblins or whoever's manipulating them know, or was it just simply an opportunistic attack, that kind of thing. Raymond does ask about the sea battles out in the strait, and Rufus says, we're not the only power in the area. There are out to the east, there are city-states that are not above piracy, and to the northwest, there's Kars, which is well defended and supports a navy. The folks at Kars used to have an alliance with Bloodstone, but it's been waning over the years. So what actually happened to the priest and the party? Still in question. Finding out where the goblins are hiding out, and then possibly taking them out is another option for us to do things. But there are forces from Kirk who are doing that now, and they're skilled rangers, so they'd be better at than us. In discussing with Rufus the archway and the portcullis, from our prior conversations, Burns' comments still hold true that beyond the portcullis is still a prison for entities that cannot be easily destroyed. Knowing what they really are down there may help us figure out what it is we're dealing with here. But Rufus did consult with Burns before he left. It's not easy to go through these portals. And he kind of gives us an example. Imagine they are rusted shut, and the grease that we're trying to use to open these doors is personal essence, either from ourselves or from somebody else. And when that occurs, the portal defenses come into play. These prisons were built in such a way to keep them from being accessed. I seem to think that all this is kind of interconnected. The persons date back to the original fortifications, and there were two subsequent fortifications to our time. So there's three layers of history. There's the moat house, there's what's immediately below it, and then there's the ancient fortifications that has the prisons. The next day we resupply and head back out to Hamlet, or to the moat house. Happy gaming.